Welcome to Joy Unfiltered. I'm Rachel, and this is a podcast about joy. Not the shiny, performative kind, not the everything happens for a reason kind. This is joy as a strategy, a way to stay steady when life feels loud, a way to stay human when things are hard, a way to lead, love, and live without burning out or checking out. Some episodes will be just me. Some will be honest conversations with people who have lived their way into a deeper, truer joy. No fixing, no bypassing, just real stories, real tools, and room to breathe. Let's get into it. Welcome back or welcome to Joy Unfiltered. I am Rachel, your host, and I am thrilled to be with you again today and also very excited to welcome Andrew Brummer to the podcast today. Let me get him introduced so that you can listen to him way more than you're going to listen to me today. So Andrew lives by a simple principle: plant seeds that will grow trees he may never sit under. We're going to dig into that today. He is a leader, operator, author, advisor, and what many call the business polygraph, because he has a gift for helping leaders see what is real before small issues become big risks. Andrew is the COO of Industry Technologies, founder of My Story Told, which we will talk a bunch about today, co-founder of Veridae, and supports founders and executives across multiple industries through strategy, mentorship, and honest conversation. His work sits at the intersection of leadership, AI, operational discipline, decision-making, and human truth. He uses technology not to replace thinking, but to extend what disciplined thinking can do. He's also the author of You Decide and Leading Magnanimously, and his career has spanned technology, finance, manufacturing, education, energy, and global business across Africa, Europe, the UK, and North America. Originally from South Africa, Andrew brings a grounded, thoughtful, and deeply human approach to leadership. He helps people speak hard truths, name the softer realities, and build organizations that can grow without losing trust, culture, or soul. So I am thrilled to welcome you, Andrew, to Joy Unfiltered.
Wow. Thank you, Rachel. I really appreciate you. I appreciate being here. I love your energy.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's start even where I started with your introduction. Plant seeds that grow trees you will never sit under. When I read that, I thought, well, one, oh my goodness, I need to talk to this person. But what a beautiful sentiment. What does it mean to you, and how did you come to that being a guiding principle for you?
So I would say it's more been a way of life. I codified it into words. I listened to some podcast or audiobook or somewhere about 2, 3 years ago where I heard someone use that phrase. So I can't claim creating the phrase. Um, um, I have always lived at the service of other people. For most of my life, it was very much to the detriment of me, where I put myself last, and created my own life challenges, which resulted in the pivot that I did in 24. But very much of the way I choose to live life is at the service of others, is trying to help others be successful, to help them find what their mustard seed is. I don't profess to invent mustard seeds. I help them find their seed, and I don't profess to water their seeds. I help them figure out how to water their seeds. What I mean by that is I'm really gifted at helping people find their best self of what they were designed to be, not what society taught them to be.
I love that, and I love your use of language. I love language, and I love words. So, your ability already that I can see or hear to tell stories. What a beautiful gift that you have. And I do want to get into that gift when we talk about My Story Told. But let's just back up a few years then. I'm in Minnesota. For those of you who have not listened to the podcast before, you know this. Maybe you can tell a little bit by my accent. You also can tell that Andrew is not. So would love to hear just a little bit about I hinted at it a little bit in the intro, but would love to know a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where doing the things that you're doing now.
So by accident, I'd say most of what I'm doing today is because of my mom and the lessons she taught me before I left home when I went to boarding school at 13. Um, the rest of life has been a chaotic journey. I have always been a curious mind. I like learning why people want to do things. Then I like understanding how it's done. And then when I understand why that thing was needed and what someone was going to do with it and how it was built or put together, my then next question is, well, so what? Who cares? What's the next step behind this thing? And I have just progressed through entire businesses doing that, just from everything from banking, contracts, product development, outsourcing, ERPs, um, development, websites, applications, HR, scale up, scale down, sales support, investors, external account. I mean, I've just had a very curious mind that's just navigated me through. It was very chaotic, and I don't recommend it for anyone. It really was aimless at the time, but today it puts me in a very valuable, very impactful situation that my intuition skills that I've learned through the course of business makes me fascinatingly useful for business owners, founders that are growth minded and have recognized and realized that they can't do it by themselves. They
Mm.
need something else. And I'm that ideal person at that point in time to have that discussion, to open their eyes of what's next. How do you now move this forward constructively so you don't build yourself into a corner?
Well, and it seems as though your ability to both ask good questions, to listen to answers, and then to synthesize that information, not to create something
Mhm.
new
Yeah.
for the owner or founder or executive, but to help them create, or not create even, but to see the clarity of what they have, the story that they have told you.
Yes, I mean that was perfect. Absolutely. The Most people have an innate sense of what is next and why they cannot break through what they're trying to solve. That they have that intuitive gut. As an advisor, if you're telling somebody something they have no idea about, have not had a curious mind, or have not got an opinion or some sort of, okay, this is what I should do, then you're probably consulting at the wrong level or advising at the wrong
Mm.
level. You you can't be telling people stuff they have no idea about and then expect collaborative engagement, because then you're undermining. So I have a really good sense, courtesy my mom, of loving people as they choose to be. I do what most guys don't do is I actually stop and listen, and I don't go into discussions with an objective in mind. So I don't go into a discussion with anybody to say this is what I want them to do. This is what I'm after. What I do is I go in and I learn who that person is. I'm a quick study. So I understand that human being, the energy that they portray, kind of what their work or discussion or passion or life love language is, and how do I help magnify that? How do I help them see between the lines, or see between the trees, or see the trees, of what is next for them? And then just ask probing questions and listen without an agenda. I don't go in with an agenda on anything other than how can I help this person? What is everything I can do for this person right now? What is anything and everything I can do to help them?
Yeah, what a beautiful gift. And I would guess that your perspective um well, that the global perspective that you have, having lived in lots of different places, but also then the global perspective in terms of not being industry specific,
Yeah.
helps you really listen for the content of what that person is saying, and not the business of the business, right? I mean,
It's about
what
the
the output of
human.
the business is.
Yeah, it's about the human. So I do a lot of pro bono mentoring for people from, I use the websites pushfonadplist.org. I do a lot of pro bono mentoring for people from Iraq down to Venezuela, Botswana, Nigeria, Australia, India, just everywhere. And what's fascinating is when people's desire to be relevant, to be heard, to be impactful, to have purpose for tomorrow is ubiquitous, and I've experienced it in everyone that I've coached. And the key is, how do you help that one person feel and experience themselves to be heard the way in which they feel themselves to be heard? And how do you help that person figure out in their own local cultural execution Because while we all want to do more or less the same thing, our goals, our dreams, desires, all relatively in the same direction, how we get there, because of local cultures, local traditions, regional traditions, is fascinatingly different. Just fascinatingly different.
Yeah, and that seems though, then when I was looking at the books that you wrote, the first one about You Decide, which is about, if I'm getting it right, about networking, it's kind of that same vein, right? Is that when you, and you probably can say this much better than I can, but my assumption about networking is that you are listening. It's not about you, it's about the other person, and listening for what their unique gift is
Yeah.
in the way that they want to be, that they want to tell it, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that
spot on. And it's finding where, how do you resonate with someone? How do you not force yourself into somebody's face and try and sell them something or try and get them to do something for you? How do you just show up? How do you, it's like going to a conference or a bar or a networking event. And how do you show up and paint interest in the person and ask questions and be provocative, be novel, hold a stance, take an opinion, listen, engage, share yourself, share your story within what that person is willing to or capable of engaging with, and not being, not, getting rid of the ego and the, I want to prove that, I'm the CEO, or I've done this, or I've done that, or I haven't done this, or I've done that, or shine a light on something they haven't done. I mean, there's no merit in that. And all you do is learn the person, teach the person just to say, thanks, great to know you, and they walk away. When you network authentically and you show up authentically, I had no idea when I started my journey in 24. I had no idea what I was going to learn. And it has been a fascinating journey of learning life, people, networking, networks, communication, listening, and just how human people are. And when you allow that human to be okay and to be present and no
mm.
sense of judgmental, the discussions, the relationships, the friendships that come out of that, the next steps, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and what a beautiful way to say that, because I think on just on the subject of networking, we often think, oh, networking, what do I have to do to prepare? I've got to get all my business cards. I have to have my 1 minute elevator pitch ready. I have to do all these things, and it's about me. And so that is that is how a lot of people walk into networking events. And maybe that's why networking events get such a bad rap, because you're just there then exchanging business cards, and what does that do? And then
Yeah.
you go home and think, I've got a stack of business cards and they're going to go in the drawer and then that's it, right?
Your key is the analogy is at a conference you meet 100. If you're a booth on a booth and you're at a booth and you're busy talking about what's to be sold or bought, and it's a 4-day conference, you cannot meet more than about 160 people and have a quality discussion in a 4-day window. And I know that because that's my cap, and I push myself beyond where most people push themselves. How do you Those 160 people are meeting another 100, 200 booths. How do you have them walk away from you that you are memorable, and take yourself out of that situation and put yourself in a bar or a networking event where there's just 20 people? How do you leave an imprint that when that person that intrigued you goes away, how do you get them to remember you? And how do you show up at the next time? And they walk up to you and say, "Hey, Andrew, it's great to see you again. How's it been? What was that thing that you were busy working on? How's my story told going? How many books have you got going right now?" It's when people remember you in the moments when you are not present that create that next unexpected business line for you.
Which is the book. Then You Decide, is, are there those tips and you walk people through that, or what will I, when
It's
I
an
buy
instruction
that, and
guide.
when the people that are
It's an
listening, like, what will they get?
It's an operator guide, so it is
Okay.
not a bunch of theory. It's going to throw you into the depths of some technology, some concepts, and it will literally walk you through. I've had many people show me books that they've bought and read through, where nigh every page is highlighted and dog-eared and got a highlight on it or a sticky on it to go back to. And my brain works in, how do I help people? I'm not a theory. I don't try and justify anything I do or say. I'm a case of, I have a way of doing it, and I have a way of having seen things be successful. How do I translate that to somebody else so that they can take all or some or one or none and just do it completely different, but practical hands-on? How do you do something? And You Decide walks you through, how do you go? My network has grown. When I started that journey in just 2 years ago, in 24, I had 1,200 LinkedIn contacts. Today I have over 10,000. 700 of them plus know me by name. 100 plus have affected my life. 16 plus have changed my life more in the last 2 years than nearly anybody that I've known in my life. The critical important part there is not one of those people knew me more than 2 years ago. So when you show up authentically, when you show up and you care, and you show up and you don't try and sell and pitch and bribe and coerce, when you show up and you just show up, just be present and listen and engage, networking creates your network, and that network will help you look after yourself.
I have goosebumps, and I'm sure everybody else listening as well will want to make, not while they're driving, but will want to make sure I will put the link for that book in the show notes. I'm certain that that will be a blessing to many people who are listening. Let's get out. I would just want to touch briefly. I've got 4 questions like in my brain, so I need to slow my brain down for a second. But let's talk about the other book, Leading Magnanimously. Is that also then another kind of
Yes.
operator guide to how we can be
My
better leaders?
intention, my intention was our society has been through a transformation, courtesy COVID, remote, homework, absence of traditional thinking. We've had the job that needs to be done has stayed the same. How the job gets done is different, and the authoritarian and control nature, the dominance nature that people have had over information, method, process, title has evaporated. It's like there's a Grand Canyon hole in the middle. The world has superseded itself, and there we have to figure out, we have to realize, we have to know, and we have to start managing people differently. And Leading Magnanimously turns around and says, how do you actually create an autonomous team that can operate without you, within your guidance, within what the company's mandate, vision, statement is, in a way that yields an amount of productivity and throughput, way more than you could ever buy. And it is a guide of saying, how would you show up? What does it
Mm.
mean to be brave? Does it mean to love your team? What does it mean to be vulnerable and authentic? With some example, with some real world, with some YouTube videos, TEDx talks, with links to people and other people that have lived that kind of life. So I went in saying, I want to allow anybody for any one topic to be able to flip through the textbook and be able to touch anything and say, how do I do this? And then be able to, in their way of learning, go see how other people have done it and then manifest it or actualize it for themselves in whatever way brings out the best in them, or realize I don't have the capability to do that. Who do I find on my team that can do that? And then help them echo that and help them teach me and teach the team how to do that. So it's a hands-on book as well, just to kind of immerse yourself as how do you make things real? How do you actually create a fully autonomous team that can operate when I'm not around?
I love that, and I even appreciate the fact that you called it a textbook. It's really about the learning. It's not just about all of the, because there are so many, which, and some very lovely books that are about the theory. But I like that both of these are, because we don't have the time to just. I mean, not all of us have the time just to do leisure reading. So, but if we want to learn how to lead differently, how to network differently, that these could be really two good resources for
Yeah,
us.
and just challenge yourself. If you want to network, just challenge yourself. Have a look at the book, try it. I've had so many people call me up and said, Andrew, I literally have experienced a carbon copy of the numbers and the growth and the relationships you had. I've had people on the leadership side that have called me up and said, Andrew, I didn't need most of the book, but there were 3 or 4 things there that I've kind of thought I need to be there, but I've been too embarrassed or shy or didn't feel right to ask anyone the questions because I didn't want to expose myself. And what you did is you helped me see something, which has then helped me grow.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I am curious, you mentioned a couple of times about this transformation that you went through in 2024. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit on that for us. And then I do want to get into talking about my story told, but my
Yeah.
curiosity has been piqued.
Yeah. So I'm a servant pleaser, and I've always been in the back room. I'm the black box that makes people successful. I've always been that person that's got stuff done. And in 24, my really good friend and CEO came to me and said, if we don't find investor money, if the market doesn't swing, we're probably going to have to wind the company down. I was like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. I don't know anyone. I have not built a brand for myself. At that stage, as a 53-year-old non-university white male, I'm like, I'm in trouble. What do I do with myself? What do I do with myself? I had no idea. Anyway, that was Friday. Saturday, I woke up and started my action plan and started putting things together. And I just pivoted life completely. And I will be writing it. It will be in the book. Some of it is in the book You Decide, where some of the journey's in there. But there will be a follow-up book called I Decided, which will run through the whole journey and how tough, hard, expensive it is, and how patient you have to be able to get to the dream that you're after, and why you should not give up on your dream.
Oh, I like that you said that about being patient. I think that so many times, and I think we live in this world right now that everything feels like it needs to
Yeah.
be yesterday already. And that when we see people on Instagram or on even on LinkedIn that, oh my goodness, I was able to do this overnight. Really, those overnight journeys are much longer than that. And it's those people who stick with
Yep.
having those dreams, like it sounded like you did. So I can't wait till that next book comes out so that we can see. But it sounds like that consistency of effort, consistency of being your transparent, authentic self is really what has helped to
It's
create this new space for you.
Yeah, it's getting ahead in the game mindset, so staying the course and being very graceful with yourself and being kind with yourself. So you got to be kind and you got to be graceful with yourself. You got to give yourself the space you would give your kids, your parents. You got to give yourself the space there. Hold yourself accountable, but keep your head in the right space. Don't get weighed down by everything that could go wrong, but be graceful with yourself, because it's hard.
Absolutely. Life is hard. I know one of the things that I read that you had said as well, and I wrote it down, that you learned how to generate your own energy and you wake up every morning with,
Yeah.
with that intent. My question is, when life does get hard, because we talk about this often on this podcast, life gets lifey, right? There are
Yep.
things that are happening that
That's a
are
real word.
beyond our control. And
Yep.
it's not all about, mean, I talk about joy, but that does not mean that I have rose-colored glasses on and say nothing bad is happening. No, there are crappy things happening in the world or
Yep.
in our household sometimes.
Yep.
But so how do you create that mindset of generating that positive energy or generating that energy to move forward every day on a consistent basis?
Yeah. So again, this one I'll blame on my mom. Um, I had a very interesting, challenging childhood. Um, and my mom used to say to me, 'cause I've had a lot of facial operations, and my mom used to say to me, Andrew, if you're going to let people say things and do things to you today, and you're going to allow their behavior to influence tomorrow when you wake up, that's your choice. It doesn't change that life is hard. It doesn't change that you've gone through some traumatic experiences, be they abuse, be they physical, be they emotional, be they financial, neglect, whatever it is. I mean, real life happens. Where your head is at and where you apply your energy tomorrow morning is completely in your hands, completely. You can allow yesterday to influence what you do. So it's in one of the books. I think it may be in both of them. I talk about I sleep on the right hand side of the bed. So when I get out of bed, my right foot hits the floor first. I get to choose my day. Nothing that happened yesterday defines my day. It doesn't mean yesterday didn't happen. It doesn't mean it's traumatic, not traumatic. It doesn't mean that I don't have scars and I don't have pain, that I'm a super emotional person, super, super emotional. It doesn't mean I don't have deep scars that I'm dealing with and I'm trying to figure out how do I manage through this. But how that day pans out is not because of the scars. It's because of my choice of how I allow those scars and those challenges to influence the next 30 seconds of my morning, because those first 30, 40 seconds of the morning when I get out of bed, that defines my day. It defines your day. It defines if you get out of bed and say, today is going to be a fan-flippantastic day. I'm going to make it so. I'm going to go and make today the best. Get out of bed, put your foot on the ground, make the statement to yourself, and go do it. It doesn't change the baggage we're carrying. It doesn't make it go away. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't deal with the counseling we need. It doesn't deal with the friends and the love and the hate that exists. It doesn't deal with that. But it gets my head in the game so that every piece of energy I expend on anything I do is because I chose it to do, not because I let yesterday define my today.
You are speaking our language, or definitely speaking my language about joy. We talk about that a lot on the podcast, about those first minutes, right? We are actually in this theta brainwave state, so we can brainwash ourselves.
Yep.
So we can first think about the stress, or we can just say, just like you said, and I actually do that every day before I get out of bed and say, today's going to be a great day. And you're right, it doesn't change the facts, but what it does is that it does actually change my brain, and it
Yep,
helps my brain filter for good
correct.
things. And so it
Correct.
brings, I mean, I'm not luckier than anybody else and I'm not more joyous than anybody
Yep.
else, but maybe I am because I practice it, and I practice training my brain to say, I just want to see, I mean, my brain's going to show me the bad things too, but I want to see the good things. So show me the good things. Show me that it's, I mean, some people in Minnesota today, it is going to be 87 degrees in Minnesota in May. That's a little warm. Now, some people might say that, but I'm like, it is beautiful outside. The sun is shining. We have a little bit of a breeze. So, beautiful.
Doesn't change the fact that it's 87 degrees outside,
That's a
but how
fact.
you
That's just a
then
fact.
it's you saying it's 87 degrees outside. In my mind, I'm going to have fun right now. I've got work to do. I've got things I need to go crack on. I need to go keep myself energized. I got to have that warm cup of coffee or cup of tea, and I'll have a glass of ice water later this afternoon. It's
Yes.
a mindset. You gotta separate your energy and emotion from the things that are causing or happening around you or that have caused you pain. I'm not dismissing that because I've been through my fair share and I'm still dealing with my fair share. But I don't allow that to influence my now. My now is influenced because I choose to live a full, rich life and I choose to affect people. I choose to impact people. And that's a mindset. I choose to live forward looking. I don't choose to live with a mirror in front of my eyes looking back at what happened yesterday.
Exactly. And also the word choice, right? We often talk about that joy is a choice.
Yep.
Like, and it's available to everybody. It's available to everybody all of the time. We just need to practice. And sometimes, as you said before, I think it is a patient, consistent practice. It doesn't just if
Graceful.
you say it tomorrow morning, that's great, but you also then just need to say it the next morning and the next morning and the next
And be
morning. And
graceful.
it gets easier,
Take it
but
easy, small pieces at a time.
yeah,
It doesn't have
right.
to be this gargantuan life transformation thing. Just start. And even if you only get it right for the first 15, 20 minutes of tomorrow morning, that's enough. That's good. The next day, you'll get it right for 23 minutes, and the day after that, 24 minutes. Just keep doing it. Small little pieces. Be graceful with yourself. Be kind. Allow yourself. But hold yourself accountable. Tomorrow, make it 20. And you know what? And when you push yourself long enough, a week, 2 weeks worth of that behavioral change, that I'm going to just do this a little bit. It will then become a way of life and you won't even know you're doing it.
It's like brushing your teeth,
Yep.
right? It's like brushing your teeth. So you're not, I mean, again, when you probably don't remember practicing brushing your teeth, but your mom certainly like remembers that piece of it, right? We don't remember that, but it should just become as natural as that. So
You
beautiful.
want to learn how
So,
hard it is to go through this, and it's this simple. Brush your teeth and wash the basin at the same time. Wipe, just
oh,
put
I'm
your
going to
hand in the
start doing
basin.
that. What a
Just
beautiful,
put
that
your
was,
hand in the basin at the same time you're brushing your teeth. And that act of getting those two, and that is small pieces of change. Small pieces of change that draw your visibility to say, I need to do something different because I'm not showing up the way I am, the way I believe, the way I desire myself to be. Small pieces.
love it. All right, so my story told.
Mm.
Let's get into that because I know that this is something you're super passionate about. So tell us what it is. Tell us kind of the inspiration behind it. But yeah,
So I'll throw a challenge out to you and any of the listeners. Picture the person that was closest to you that has died the most recently. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. What did they do? And why are they significant in your life? Who were they actually? What are their stories in life? Who were they? Why are they important to you? And I bet most people would say, I know of a person and I kind of have a good feeling of why, but I don't actually remember much of what they did and why they believed what they believed and why they did what they did. And take that person's picture that you have in your mind, put their photograph in an album or in your Apple picture library or whatever it is, and now picture your children finding that photo and that person was dear to you. What do your children know that picture to be? And when their children look at that photograph, does that photograph now get archived because that person just has no, we don't know who they are? And that sadly has been the journey of humanity. The fascinating piece is for the past 20 years, we as a society have created a digital footprint of everything we've done, thought, believed, loved, hate, watched, recorded, written, listened. We've recorded ourselves, podcasts. We've spoken stories, we sit with our kids, we sit with our parents, we ask them stories, we sit with our kids and we tell them stories. We now have the ability for it not to be forgotten. I'm working with an 84-year-old. She's been journaling since she was 14, a life of journal. She has great-grandchildren. She doesn't want to be forgotten. She wants her great-grandchildren to understand why they are what they are, how they came to be, the traditions, the legacy, the history that birthed her. She wants to leave a story behind of how it came to be. Technology is now at the point that we're able to take that and create a story. And using my story told, I figured out how to codify and leverage and put guardrails around using a number of AI tools that allow me to take podcasts, recordings, um, newspaper articles, magazine articles people have written, their PowerPoint presentations, their theses they've written, their whole journeys, and just drop it in and say, what is the story arcs that are in here? Dealing with a finance guy, he's got three story arcs. Dealing with a TikToker, she had one story arc, and the story she told when she calls me up, she just cries. She just cries. She says, Andrew, I don't know how you were able to do this, but this is a fascinating story of my life. And I did it through nothing other than leveraging the content that she gave me. There's no hallucination, there's no exaggeration. It's all her words, her voice, her noise, everything. Everything is hers. I'm working with a 76-year-old who's done grief counseling and depression counseling, and I'm helping her build a course out of her content, existing content. We're building a course. We will end up with a course, a 12-month course, an instructor's guide, a user guide, and we'll probably end up with 3 or 4 short form books and 5 or 6 long form books out of all of her content, out of all of her stories in life. She will never have the time to sit down and write the book. For those people who are gifted and have the time and the money to write books, I think writing is very therapeutic, and I think anybody and everybody should do it. But most people do not have any one of those. Forget about all of them. Most people don't have any one of those. And we're now at a point that anybody can tell their story. Anybody who has already lived, they've already earned the right to tell their story because they've lived life. So I don't ghostwrite. I don't use AI to ghostwrite. I use AI to take people's stories of their life. I take their content, their words, their love, their hurt, their pain, their passion, their skills, their capabilities, and I service CEOs, business owners, executives, grandparents, adults, parents, folk that have done something remarkable, been through a journey and done some amazing stuff. It's fascinating. Everybody has a story to be told. And we now have a chance to actually leave me behind when I pass on. I actually have a chance now today. Right now, today, I have the ability to take what I am and leave me behind when I die. Instead of that photograph. Remember that photograph?
Yeah.
That has no life behind it, that eventually gets archived, and 2 generations away from I die, will never look at the photograph again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, how powerful. How powerful. And when you first were telling me about it, I thought, what a lovely, first, what a lovely gift that you can leave your friends and your family. But what a lovely gift. But it also sounds like there might be some professional purposes for that as well. So that it's
Yeah.
not just, it's not, you're not just going down one lane, but
Oh,
really
yeah.
stories can serve multiple
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah, I mean, the finance guy I'm working, he's got a wealth of knowledge of how to manage money, time, energy. He's building a book around that because he wants to take everything that he's written about and actually put it into a consolidated book, which will be a professional how-to, and it'll have its own life and it'll go places. So it's not just about when you pass, it's about we all. I'm 56 years old. I'm far away from dying. I have stories to tell. I've got another 7 books I want written. I've started 3 of them. I should have just started 1, but I started 3 of them.
Yeah, it gets all those things in your brain. Our brains are, yeah. I
We
get it.
all have
I
stories. You have
understand. I
stories to
understand.
tell. I mean, you have stories to tell. Everyone has stories to tell. That we've earned the right to tell our stories because we've lived a life. It's not hallucinating. It's not AI inventing the story on my behalf. It's my stories in my voice, with my history, with my real life, real lived experiences. And I have the right to tell that story. And anybody has the capability now using this tech. So my story told that AI, and it's dirt cheap. I mean, $2,000. It's dirt cheap to get a 40,000 word book out there.
And is it something that I could just go on and use by myself, or is it a co-creation piece with you? Like what is the process? So if somebody's listening right now, which they are, and they're sitting in their car, they're like, yes, I have a story, or maybe more than one story to
Yep.
tell. Yes. What does that look like? What's that process?
So I need access to your content. I can do a 15, 30-minute call with you to tell you what kind of content and what you should store. And then once I have that content, I will send you a digital voice print and what I think there's various story arcs that we find in that content. You will edit the story arc. I will then map the content into your story arc and you'll approve that. And then I will generate the initial prose manuscript for you. And then you'll read that. So the work left on your side really is gathering your content and then reading the manuscript once I've given it to you. And if you don't know what to write because if you've got all of the stuff and just don't know what to write, just give me your content and I'll tell you whether there's one book or 10 books inside there.
And but I like that piece of it. So it's not just that you are giving me a piece of tech and I'm putting all that stuff in there and then AI is doing all that stuff. It really is that you are helping to
Correct.
guide the whole process. Yes, you are using technology to help with that as well, but that you using your gift of storytelling and your gift of listening and synthesizing information, that is
Correct.
how the stories are created.
Correct. And it's the same as you. It's no different than somebody who builds beautiful wood furniture. I do wood furniture as well. I also put 35,000 Christmas lights up on my house over Christmas. So it's no different to using something really amazing that didn't exist just a handful of years ago and using that to do something fantastic. And I use AI in that manner. I use it to do something fantastic.
And I again I'm sure everybody listening is thinking, yes, I have a story. Or like I do, my grandmother turned 100 as we're recording this. She turned 102 3 days ago.
Wow.
102. I mean, I think
Just
about
imagine the
all of the
story
stories
she's
that
got. Yeah.
she has, right? Thinking about, all of the technology, all of the things that have happened in her life in the world and
Yep.
to her individually. And yes, I mean, she has probably more than one story to
She
tell
has.
as well. So
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
It's
So
humbling to listen to the stories and to listen to, we all think we've had a uniquely difficult life and it's been uniquely strange and uniquely messed up. When you actually pause, it's such a privilege that it's so humbling, it's so grounding to see that life is really hard. It's not just a saying, life is hard and it's hard for a lot of people.
yes, and it must be so um, gratifying for you as well to be the keeper of these, or the shepherd. I don't know what the word is of these
For me,
stories,
it's
because
the
you get to hear so many
for
amazing
me, it's the
things.
tear. For me, it's the tears, the smiles, the joy of the person who gets what we put together. It's not, for me, it's not the tools, it's not the act of helping them go through their journey. It's when they see their journey, when they smell their journey, when they feel the journey. For me, that is my purpose. It's looking at someone and then them just you can see the tears welling. You can feel the energy, the excitement they've got because what is in front of them is them.
Yeah. Well, what a powerful gift. And I'm so glad that that you realized the way in which that you can give back,
Mhm.
right? Because you could have these gifts and not
Yep.
and use them in lots of different ways. But what a powerful way for you to be able to give that gift, share the gift and give that gift to other people.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up here, is there anything else that we didn't touch on today that you wish that people would know? And then I really do want to make sure that, and I'm sure people are raising their hands saying, how do I get a hold of you and how do I work with you on a
Mm.
number of different levels? So I want to make sure that we have time for that too.
So I will leave in parting and saying, in whatever you do, in whatever professional skills, capability you have, in whatever way you can, go out of your way. Society needs it today, and it needs us from all angles of life. Plant seeds that will grow trees that you will never sit under, which means affect lives. You will never know what the impact was, but do your damnedest to do the best to affect people and accept it, that you will get nothing and never see it. And for those
Powerful,
who want to find
powerful.
me, you
Yeah.
can find me on andrewbrummer.com. The mystorytold.ai has got a lot of information on it, the whys, the samples, and easy to get started, really easy to get started. And I'm on LinkedIn. I've been very out there. The pivot has been really insightful. I've shared more than most people should or would. Um, I believe life ahead of us is going to be harder than it's been, and I think we need to help one another as much as we can.
Oh, yes, and that authentic connection. Yeah, so thank you. I have goosebumps. I do really believe that God has given us all gifts. And one, I just want to thank you for your time today, but for sharing the gifts in the way in which you do. I do really believe, Andrew, that you're going to impact not just people's lives today, but generational
Yeah,
impact that you have, which goes exactly along. So you are living you're living the things that you say. It's not for you just a placard on the wall, but
yeah.
you are actually living the things that you say. So thank you for that. For those of you still listening, thank you for listening as well. I will be sure to put all of Andrew's contact information in the show notes. So please reach out to him. We all do. You all have a story to tell. And we now have an opportunity to be able to tell that and to be able to share that through the gift that Andrew has offered.
Yeah.
So check the show notes. Make sure that you subscribe to Joy Unfiltered. And remember, from my heart to yours, Rachel, and I'm celebrating you today and every day. So have fun, live well, enjoy.